7 times and left dead on that street.
2 people out for a walk, 1 gets shot, maybe a robbery.
Anytime you have an innocent person gunned down, it's terrifying, really, for the whole community.
I did not want Jamie to suffer, even though in my eyes he was a monster, so I fired the rounds into his head.
This was a murder in a love triangle.
The PTSD in much part led to him being duped.
In the end, there was but 1 victim here. 1 victim, and that victim is Jamie Faith.
It was a peaceful morning on October 9th, 2020, when Jamie and Jennifer Faith left the house behind me to go on their morning walk.
They would get up every morning, take their walks, walk their dog, and so they seem to be a normal couple living in Dallas in a very quiet community called Oak Cliff.
The couple have been married for 15 years, and by all accounts, they were happy.
Jennifer was in a previous relationship and brought a daughter, Amber.
Those who knew Jamie say he loved his stepdaughter and was a devoted husband with a good job.
He was an executive in the IT department, and he was doing very well in his career and having just a great life with Jennifer, at least that's the perception that was given.
But that life was about to come to a sudden and brutal end for Jamie Faith when a man in a surgical mask approached the couple from behind. Jennifer noticed him first.
She turned around. This person began shooting several times at her husband.
The masked assailant shot Jamie 7 times. As he lay dying on the ground, the gunman shot Jamie 1 final time just below the belt. He then used duct tape to bind Jennifer's wrists together, demanding her money and jewelry, and then fled the scene.
2 people out for a walk, husband and wife, 1 gets shot. It's at 7:30 in the morning. It's on a pretty busy street. I think it just starts to seem maybe a robbery.
A neighbor and friend of Faith's heard the shots and came outside to investigate.
I ran to the end of my walkway, and I see feet and a body laying in the street about 4 houses down.
That's when he saw the masked gunman.
When I saw the individual, I reversed and came back in my house.
Did he see you?
Yeah, he looked right at me.
Emery ran inside to get his own gun, but when he returned, the gunman was gone. So he ran to where he'd seen the body.
And as you get here, what do you see?
So once I get here, I go straight to the body. There appeared to be no life.
That's when he saw Jennifer Faith.
She was sitting 6 feet away from the sidewalk. So I just grabbed her hands and we start praying that, Jamie's going to be okay. Around that time is when the first cop arrived.
The only other person to get a glimpse of the assailant was Jennifer Faith.
When police interviewed Jennifer Faith, she could not stop crying. She was describing this person as maybe being a light-skinned African-American man or a Hispanic man, saying that he had dark eyes.
When police arrive here at the scene, they immediately start piecing together what few clues they had.
They didn't have a lot at the beginning. They had what they believed to be the suspect vehicle. They knew it was a black Nissan Titan. They saw the sticker on the back window.
Initially, police were stumped as to who might want Jamie dead.
No known bad apples that he was associated with. His neighbors described him as passionate, as loving.
As in any murder investigation, police took a careful look at the victim's spouse. But Jennifer Faith was actively cooperating and seemed very focused on finding her husband's murderer. In the days after the murder, Jennifer went on the news again and again.
If you know what happened, I need that for closure. I need to make some sense out of this.
When Jennifer asked for donations, her neighbors were eager to donate, helping her raise over $60,000.
Anytime you have an innocent person gunned down in the middle of a residential neighborhood on a, weekday morning, it's terrifying, really, for the whole community.
As the fear rose, so did the pressure to find Jamie's killer.
Nearly 2 months passed, but police remained tight-lipped about their investigation until suddenly news of an arrest,
setting off a media frenzy about the suspect.
Police in Tennessee arrested 48-year-old Darren Lopez.
Was Darren Lopez from Tennessee?
Lopez remains in custody here at the Dixon County Jail on a fugitive from justice warrant.
At first glance, Darren Lopez seemed an unlikely murder suspect. The father of 5 was a war hero who'd been awarded a Purple Heart for injuries sustained in the Special Forces while in Iraq.
Who was this person? What was his connection to Jennifer Faith?
It turns out that the grieving widow knew much more than she first told police. In fact, investigators had been skeptical of Jennifer Faith's story from day one.
Jennifer Faith stated she didn't know who the assailant was, that he had put some duct tape on her and maybe taken a ring. She really wasn't injured. I just think that seemed off.
During their first interview, investigators had extracted data from Jennifer's cell phone, and in a text thread to her friend Tina, they found a clue.
She had sent a text to Tina Spring that she was having a full-blown emotional affair. What little she put in those texts, that he lived in Tennessee, he was in the military, and that his name was Darren, they were able to see in her contacts that there was a Darren Lopez that currently resided in Tennessee, was in the military, and lo and behold, had registered to him a black Nissan Titan truck.
That information and cell phone data that placed him near the scene of the crime ultimately led to Darren's arrest. Investigators discovered a treasure trove of communications on his phone and computer.
We're talking about tens of thousands of communications that took place in a very short amount of time between Jennifer Faith and Darren Lopez.
It turns out that Jennifer Faith's love affair with Darren Lopez stretched all the way back to high school.
Jennifer Faith and Darren Lopez have a long history. They were high school sweethearts. Jennifer Faith has said that Darren Lopez is her one and only love.
Back in Dallas, Detective Walton has Jennifer Faith come in.
The detective grilled her about why she failed to mention Darren or his truck during their previous interviews.
Darren has a Nissan Titan pickup truck, okay? Same black, same everything. Just like the witnesses took the photos of.
I didn't know that. It was his truck.
Think about this, Joe. You gotta think on how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling like you tried to play me.
They charged her with obstruction of justice and also this murder for hire. And they talked about the death penalty. And so Jennifer began talking. According to her, what she told Darren Lopez was that Jamie Faith was physically and sexually abusing her.
In her confession, Jennifer essentially admitted that she had manipulated her former high school sweetheart, a decorated war veteran suffering from PTSD, into murder.
She was sending him all of these emails talking about horrific things that her husband was allegedly doing to her. Gang rape, holding her head underwater. And Darren Lopez alleged that he perceived that this actually was taking place.
On February 7th, 2022, Jennifer Faith pleaded guilty to being the mastermind behind the murder for hire of her husband, Jamie Faith. In return, prosecutors agreed to drop the obstruction of justice charge and recommend life in prison.
With Jennifer Faith pleading guilty to federal murder for hire charges in the death of her husband, Jamie Faith, state prosecutors here in Texas turned their attention to Darren Lopez.
Prosecutors were sensitive to Darren's military service and combat-related brain injuries. They offered him 30 years, of which he'd have to serve at least half.
In my opinion, Darren could have secured even a lower amount of years from the prosecution. He just had to ask for it.
But surprisingly, he turned it down.
he firmly still had beliefs that Jennifer was in harm's way and that his homicidal acts were justified.
Coming up, the trial of Darren Lopez for the murder of Jamie Faith begins, and the prosecution sets out to turn a war hero into a sex-crazed murderer.
They were role-playing. They were enjoying it. It was all part of the fantasy.
Just.com.
After turning down a plea deal that would have gotten him out of prison in as little as 15 years,
All right.
Darren Lopez went on trial for the murder of Jamie Faith here in July of 2023.
The prosecution was led by Brandy Mitchell, who knew she had a challenging case.
There was already sort of a narrative out there that Jennifer Faith created these fake emails and manipulated Darren Lopez into believing that James Faith was abusing her physically and sexually.
In her opening statement, Mitchell confronted head-on the narrative that Darren was a passive player in Jennifer Faith's web of lies.
March 17th of 2020, via LinkedIn. He sends her a message. They then swap emails, and they swap phone numbers, and they start communicating almost, often, almost immediately. It was important for us to get out that Darren reached out to Jennifer first. It was Darren who was looking for Jennifer. He is pursuing her. He wants her to come visit him. He wants to make passionate love to her, knowing she's married. And he wants her and him to eventually be together.
The prosecution's main challenge was undercutting the impact of the fake email accounts Jennifer admitted setting up to manipulate Darren, one in which she posed as her husband, Jamie, and the other as their mutual friend, Rob Schmidt.
She creates these fake email accounts. The evidence is going to show that this is not any kind of role playing.
Juan Sanchez was the lead defense attorney for Darren Lopez.
This is a way for her to make Darren believe that those emails were really coming from Jim. From the very beginning, she started to ramp up and deceive him to believe that Jamie was abusing her sexually and physically, that he was subjecting her to gang rapes.
It was undisputed that she created these fake emails and deleted these fake emails. What we really wanted to accomplish is we couldn't keep her out of it. We pushed forward our theory that they were in this together, that there were two parts to this. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Eric Barnes.
Detective Barnes testified about the electronic communications that were confiscated from Darren Lopez.
Next email, Jamie Faith to Darren, titled, "Please stay away," date Friday, April 10th, so a day after the fake email is created, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Posing as her husband, Jamie, Jennifer emailed Darren and told him to stay away.
So man to man, I'm telling you to stay away from my family. It's obvious that you and Jen can't keep your communication to a friendship. So I'm asking that you stop communicating with Jen. Don't worry about her being hurt. I'll be here to pick up the pieces. Jamie Faith.
But the email soon took a dark turn as the fake Jamie begins to taunt Darren about his sadistic plans for Jennifer.
Subject, Jen. I am finally going to get what I want from her this weekend. Make sure and ask her about it. Look up any rough, gangbang, triple penetration with breath control porn, and that's what we will be doing to her. See if she will tell you. If she doesn't, I'll need to start sending details again.
Yet, while he's receiving emails threatening Jennifer with brutal sexual assault from someone he supposedly believed to be Jamie, Darren's communications with Jennifer were taking an eerily similar turn.
There's this weird blurring of the lines where some of the actual abuse are now coming over into their sexual fantasies that they're sharing with one another.
In one exchange, Darren describes fantasizing about Jennifer being with other men.
If I wasn't around for some reason, my girl would have to text and ask permission to be naughty. I would pick outfits for them to wear and have them make me proud and happy being daddy's slut.
At a certain point, we started to question, is this all one big role play?
Jennifer responds, her language mirroring the email she wrote to Darren as Jamie.
This may sound really bizarre in light of what you are aware of having happened to me recently, but in the right scenario is something I really wanted, and that is a rape fantasy. I have engaged in breath play before, and I really liked it when it's done right. Detective Barnes, these emails between the two of them are relevant. Why?
It illustrates that at the same time the rape allegations and gangbang allegations were going on, they're engaged in that same type of activity amongst each other.
This is a woman who is being gang raped by 10 men and yet turning around and engaging in role playing and multiple sex partners with Darren Lopez.
The prosecution also tried to cast doubt on the believability of the photos that Jennifer sent Darren to show that she was being abused by Jamie.
The subject is injury pics. Interestingly, she is sending the very same pics, correct, Detective Barnes, except for one.
That's correct.
Which is the one that is new?
The injury to a lip at the bottom.
Okay, is there anything of note about that particular photo?
The lip is bleeding and the teeth appear to be children-sized teeth.
It's ridiculous that he would believe that that's Jennifer's neck or that's her. And none of these photos had her face in them or anything like that. None of the photos even resembled her body shape. Nothing.
And then, just before the murder, the prosecution points to a drastic change in the frequency of communications between Jennifer and Darren.
Do you recall anything interesting about that time period, death of James Faith?
I remember there being a lot of communication during that time frame.
And then right around October 8th and October 9th, is there anything that changes?
Yes, the communication changing.
So there comes a time where there's almost no communication between Jennifer Faith and Darren Lopez.
That's correct.
So we know there's some collusion there. They're not talking. They both have voluntarily decided not to talk to each other during this time.
Prosecutors contend that there was only one thing on Darren's mind: a twisted desire for Jennifer Faith.
They were role-playing, they were enjoying it, it was all part of the fantasy. The violent, graphic nature of this was part of it that led Darren Lopez to drive from Tennessee to Texas through the night, ambush, and kill Jamie Faith without any reason, without any explanation, without any basis, except to be with Jennifer Faith.
Coming up, the defense tries to turn attention back to the manipulations of Jennifer Faith.
The defense's theory was that he was manipulated. This was a noble soldier who fell victim because he loved this woman and believed that he needed to eliminate this person that was harming the love of his life.
Prosecutors had fought back against the narrative that Darren Lopez was manipulated by Jennifer Faith into killing her husband, arguing that the former high school sweethearts were in it together. As they began their case, Darren's lawyers wanted to reestablish Jennifer as the manipulative mastermind who turned a war hero into an unwitting killer.
You're going to hear about Jamie Faith on one side. You're going to hear about Darren Lopez on the other side. And in the middle, you have Jennifer Faith. And it's going to be important for you all to know what she did in order to manipulate, deceive, and lie to Darren Lopez, to lie to her family, to lie to law enforcement.
On cross-examination, the defense wasted no time in advancing the narrative of Jennifer, the manipulator.
You also believe that he believed that he was duped, right?
Yes, I do believe there was manipulation going on.
According to the defense, that pattern of manipulation began decades ago.
Mr. Duncan, where are you at right now? I'm located in Tucson, Arizona.
Keith Duncan, a defense witness, he testified via Zoom. He also dated Jennifer in high school.
The part about, the false allegations of abuse against Jamie came out. That's when I reached out to the Dallas Police Department. I told the detectives, I know this is silly, and I know it's been 30 years, but she did the same exact thing to me. It wasn't very long after we started dating that I started seeing what we would call now red flags.
Immediately, within our relationship, she started telling me stories of how her ex-boyfriend before me would rape, molest, abuse her, And if it wasn't just a one-time situation, it was a ongoing narrative story of how it was almost like the constant of it.
The one that always sticks out in my mind is we were at the Tucson Racket Club. I wanted to go and just do a quick weight workout, and she said, well, I don't want to do that. And we went back and forth, and then she started crying. Well, my ex-boyfriend raped me in the weight room. And that, of course, took me back, and it shocked me, you know, as all the stories did. But what she said next was really the first time that I started to question the validity of this, because it was so outrageous. You know, she told me that he threw her down on the floor and took the actual weight bar, like a bench press bar, a 45-pound bar, and used that to rape her.
When you heard about things like this, did you suggest going to the authorities? I absolutely suggested the police need to get to the adults, teachers, and it was honest, no, we can't do that. Did Ms. Faith ever ask or imply to you to commit any acts of violence? Acts of violence, no, because that would have attracted attention from adults, but tormenting, bullying, vandalism, that was all accepted and encouraged.
When I would do those things and she'd either see them or I'd come home and tell her about them, you know, she would snuggle up and close and thank you, and you're my hero, and I feel so safe and protected, and that seemed to make it all right.
The defense also highlighted how Darren's war injuries made him particularly susceptible to being manipulated.
Darren was in the big leagues with special ops. When you're in big leagues, you're exposed to high-level trauma, and if you do 6 tours, it's magnified. I wanted to educate the jury as to how damaged he really was.
The jury has purposely heard that there was at least one specific traumatic incident that would lead us to believe that Mr. Lopez would have TBI. Then what was that specific incident?
That was the dump truck incident where there was a blast exposure.
On September 9th of 2005, Darren Lopez was patrolling in Iraq when insurgents detonated 2 large dump trucks loaded with ammonium nitrate explosives, killing dozens of Iraqi soldiers. Darren's teammate, Greg Underwood, was there.
I was hit by shrapnel. It split my helmet off the top of my head, broke my back, broke my neck. Darren pulled me out. I wasn't breathing. My heart wasn't pumping. They put a tube down my throat. I regained consciousness, and they got me out of there. The 4 of us that were there were all wounded. I owe my life to that man.
But even though he too had been in the blast, Darren's job was just beginning.
The explosion that we were in, 4 of us Americans walked out alive. The Iraqi police that were there, not a single one of them lived. There were at least 20 of them there that we know of. Darren got to go back afterwards and help clean that up. Even as far as military guys go, he's seen a lot. When you see the devil, you don't unsee the devil. He goes to a little spot down here, and it turns into a diamond in your heart.
Darren Lopez was discharged medically from the Army, is that right?
2013, I believe.
What was the reason that he was medically discharged?
It was post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Darren would have kept serving until he died. He was essentially forced into retirement by military medical against his wishes.
The day the Army doesn't need you anymore, they forget about you. The people that you love, that you know you can trust, are not there with you every day now. It feels like a small part of you got ripped out. You go into a depression. That's part of the PTSD.
His lifeblood of being a Green Beret, being the Special Forces, was gone. And he struggled with being able to adjust to civilian life.
He had been sinking into a hole that was deeper than any of us saw.
But among the darkness, Darren held on to one small light.
He just went back to the moment in life perhaps that gave him most joy.
And that moment was the memory of his first love, Jennifer. He reached out, and miraculously she responded.
When she reconnected with him, that was his way out. This is the woman that I could have had things worked out. She still loves me. Whether she did or not, he believed that.
It went from military to I have no meaning to Jennifer, wow, she wants to be with me, but he doesn't know how unhealthy he is.
Compared to a regular person, how is Darren's perception of the danger different?
That emotional functioning can be compromised regarding just misperceiving threat and fear.
Why did he choose that one night to go down there? Everybody that knows Darren agrees. The only reason he would ever have done that is he feared for her life.
The PTSD in much part led to him being duped. That's your whole story right there.
He's not functioning normally.
None of this is normal.
And so, because of that, his options and solutions, are those limited in his diagnosis as well?
Well, it's a man on a mission.
So what does he have left in that impaired decision-making?
As he was trained to do in this small group, act, on his own to eliminate that threat.
Coming up, Darren Lopez tells his side of the story.
So with her telling you this and you receiving these text messages from who you thought was Jamie, did you feel she was in danger that day?
Yes, I did. Mortal danger.
At the murder trial of Darren Lopez, the prosecution and defense had both called their main witnesses. The only question now was, would Darren Lopez testify?
I had concerns about Darren's ability to testify. My fear was that his emotional reactions could be misinterpreted by a jury.
We did not know that he was going to testify. We found out that day.
Sir, if you would, please face me and raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth.
I do.
Darren wanted to tell his story because he steadfastly believed in what Jennifer was telling him. He steadfastly believed in the threat.
You go to the Special Forces, and then you are deployed out to do things in the world, aren't you?
Yes, sir. In 2003, we were prepping to invade into Iraq. So I deployed first to Kuwait.
He comes across very, very well, talking about his time in the military, what he did, and then he got into his relationship with Jennifer.
You met Jennifer in high school?
Yes, my sophomore year. I was a band. I played trumpet.
They were in the band together, and they had a first love experience in Europe during high school.
This was a 3-week tour. We traveled into Europe together, and we played in London, Paris, Switzerland. We had our very first kiss was on the Eiffel Tower. Very memorable to me. Something that, will stay with me for forever.
The memory of Jennifer literally became a part of Darren's identity, a top secret answer to a question American Special Forces might ask if they ever rescued him from captivity.
I could be captured for a long time, could be tortured. These memories have to be something that's ingrained in me, that I know when I am rescued, I'm going to answer the question, no matter what I've been through, for how long I've been through. So that's why they have to be very specific and very meaningful to me.
The memory of Darren's first love sustained him in other ways.
In tough times and war, he would go back, and it was that high school band trip to Europe with Jennifer, and that had a soothing, calming, really a dissociating effect on him to get him through tough times.
From 2018 to 2020, were you being treated for traumatic brain injury?
Yes, sir, and PTSD. That 2019, I became extremely depressed. For that full year, I had no contact with even with my buddies.
He let his house just be in disrepair to a point of it was unlivable. When we went out there after he was arrested, he didn't want us coming out there.
But instead of giving up, Darren reached out.
January 1st of 2020, I made my New Year's resolution to get back into life. And that's when I reconnected with my buddies, and at that time frame, started to look for Jennifer.
Is she the only person you looked for or in your life from the past?
Yes, sir.
Is that because she was so important for you in the military and in your past life?
Yes, sir.
After they reconnected, Jennifer made it clear that her marriage was on the rocks.
Right away, she started telling me about her relationship with Jamie and how it was not emotional and no physical love there.
A few weeks later, Jennifer began her game.
I came from Jennifer Faith's phone, but it popped up. I believe the text message at first was, I know about you too. I'm going to take it out on her. He text back, like, what do you mean? And I believe then is when he said, this is Jamie. I found her phone and I see all you two have been texting.
What did you think? I mean, were you surprised by that?
I was in shock.
Jennifer then forwarded the first fake email she said was from her husband, appearing to show Jamie putting her on a starvation diet.
The important thing is there's the 1,200 calories. This is April 11th already. Abuse had already started, 3 or 4 weeks into it.
Darren was soon communicating directly with someone he believed to be Jamie Faith. And this person was writing in detail about the ways in which he was sexually and physically abusing Darren's first love. Eventually, he threatened to go to the police.
I actually looked up the phone number for Dallas PD. I texted that I got the phone number and I'm calling now. And then all of a sudden my phone rings and it's her calling me and saying, no, don't. He stopped. Jennifer finally told me, Darren, if you call the cops, I'm going to deny everything. So don't get them involved.
When you're looking for somebody to love, your heart reaches out. Your mind doesn't think about those things. You think about somebody, and this is somebody he trusted. Then her husband started sending emails. I don't know that I would have ever double-checked any emails if I was getting them.
She got to the point where she said that it's enough is enough. I can't do this anymore.
That's when Jennifer, writing as Jamie, mentioned the upcoming 15-year anniversary of when the couple met, which was on October 9th.
He said that he really enjoyed having her underwater in the hot tub, that he was going to see how many guys she could handle that way.
So with her telling you this and you receiving these text messages from who you thought was Jamie, did you feel she was in danger that day?
Yes, I did. Mortal danger.
That's when Darren got in his truck and started a fateful 600-mile journey from Tennessee to Texas. Darren Lopez arrived here around 2 in the morning after driving through the night from Tennessee. He hid in the house behind me and was laying in wait until the morning when Jennifer and Jamie went for their morning walk.
There was that moment, as soon as Jamie left the house, I would be able to safely take care of the threat to Jennifer. And so I acted.
You acted, what is that?
That's when I fired my gun into Jamie.
How many times?
Total of 8 shots, I believe. It seemed like only 7 hit. I missed one.
Was it your belief, though, that you were shooting someone who was dangerous?
Yes, if I didn't act, Jennifer was going to die that day. She was going to be drowned.
And that was your belief at that time, in your mind?
Yes, sir. I was the noble soldier that did my job. I did what I was trained to do. I protected people. I kept them from a monster. So that's what I believed.
When we return, the prosecution makes its closing arguments and the jury returns with a verdict.
He could have done the thing that every reasonable person would have done, which is call the police. He could have helped her just escape. He's special forces. Why don't you come on an escape mission, not an execution?
On day 3 of his trial, Darren Lopez had taken the stand, testifying that he had been a victim of Jennifer Faith's manipulation.
But that decision came with its own risks.
When Darren gets up there, We knew that it was going to be difficult because of just our background across the board.
It was background that included training in how to efficiently kill people, an act that Darren calmly described as he recounted the last moments of Jamie Faith's life.
Being a medic, treating people on the battlefield, the human body can take a lot of damage and still live. I did not want Jamie to suffer, even though in my eyes he was a monster. So I approached and I fired the rounds into his head.
Darren didn't know how to explain himself. That jury didn't know how to take Darren.
And when the defense gave him a chance to show remorse for killing Jamie, Darren remained focused on himself.
You hated the fake Jamie?
Yes, I did. We were talking, and they asked me that, and I said, even now it's hard. I haven't been able to process everything. I've been blocked up.
But the real Jamie, what do you feel about the fact that you took this line when he wasn't doing any of the things that Jennifer led you to believe?
Jennifer turned me into the monster. I feuded. I destroyed Amber's family. Her dad is dead. Her mom's in prison. Nothing. She's on her own. I pray for her every day.
I pass the witness.
Darren can come across as, again, focusing more on his feelings and thoughts, him wanting to save Jennifer, and not focusing on the reality of him being duped and there being a dead victim, Jamie.
It was a blind spot that the prosecution pounced on.
So you're the victim here, Mr. Lopez. Is that what you're saying?
No, ma'am.
This man, Jamie Faith, is who you killed, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
While he was wearing basketball shorts and walking his dog at 7:30 in the morning, this man was a threat to you?
Not to me. He was a threat to Jennifer.
I think what I hit on most is the unbelievable seriousness of picking up a gun and shooting someone. Absolutely no justification, absolutely no basis, and absolutely not even trying to look into anything. You asked no questions. You did no intel. In fact, the only intel I think you did do was look into BDSM to get into Jamie's mindset. Would that be correct?
No, ma'am. I asked her phone numbers. She did not give me any phone numbers.
She's not the only person that needs to give you that phone number, is she, Mr. Lopez?
What do you mean?
Well, there are other ways you could have found something, but you did nothing, correct?
Correct.
You tell no one, correct?
Correct.
And you've got 3 or 4 buddies willing to stand with you, but you don't tell them, we got to do something. That never occurs to you.
Yes, it does.
But you don't do it.
No.
Okay. So she doesn't want you to call the police, but she wants you to kill her husband.
Yes.
Pass the witness, Your Honor. You leave it in the hands of the jury. In the end, he agreed, drove all the way to Dallas, Texas, and killed this man in broad daylight. These two both cooked it up. Both. And he ran up to him, and he executed him. An unarmed man. That man lost his life within seconds. Dead on the street. This good man. Jennifer Faith is responsible, and Darren Lopez is responsible. And we are asking you to find him guilty, because he is guilty. Thank you.
After less than an hour of deliberations, the jury returns to the courtroom.
Members of the jury, it is my understanding that you all have reached a verdict, and that verdict form was signed by the presiding jury. Is that right?
Yes.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Darren Lopez, guilty of murder as charged in the indictment.
The verdict of guilty was not surprising. Darren shot Jamie. Jamie was not threatening.
Well, we knew guilty was going to come back. We weren't surprised at that. That came back fairly quick. We didn't expect for him to get nothing. What we were really hoping for, 15 to 20. At worst, maybe 30 years.
Coming up, he'd been found guilty of murdering Jamie Faith. Now the jury would decide his punishment. Darren Lopez had been found guilty of murdering Jamie Faith.
The jury would now decide to give him anywhere from a minimum sentence of 5 years to a maximum of 99 years to life.
The minimum is nowhere near what is appropriate for this. For taking his life, his 49-year-old life. And this man didn't have a chance to fight for it. He couldn't even treat him like a man.
In the end, there was but one victim here. One victim, and that victim is Jamie Faith.
Sir, can you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Greg Underwood. One of the things that I wanted to say was this man is not the guy that goes around and thinks about hurting people.
Darren ran a chest tube in a man that I saw later on in the day during the first deployment in Baghdad, that had he not put that chest tube in him, he would not have lived. He would have been dead. This was the enemy. These were men that were adamantly trying to kill all of us.
Darren is a good man. He's done something horrible. He knows he's done something horrible. But he did it because he thought she was in peril. Had I thought that he done it for any other reason, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
It's going to be your job to decide what's proper in this case, and we ask you to take into consideration Mr. Lopez's service, his years of good conduct, his years of being a good family man, and we ask you to take that into consideration and make that decision that you can live with when you leave this courthouse.
All rise for the jury.
The jury retired to decide Darren's fate. 1 hour passed, and then another.
We definitely expected that the punishment decision would likely be harder for the jury.
State of Texas versus Darren Lopez. We, the jury, having previously found the defendant, Darren Lopez, guilty of murder as charged in the indictment, unanimously assessed the punishment of the defendant at confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for a term of 62 years and a fine of $10,000.
When we heard the 62 years, it was really heart-wrenching. It seemed almost spiteful.
It's a very conflicting feeling because, again, he did a horrible thing. But I think I also have a very different take than most people because I know the manipulation. I know the lies.
Darren is currently incarcerated at the Cofield Correctional Facility in Texas, about 2 hours from Dallas.
His friends say he remains horrified of what he did.
Speaking to Darren after the trial, he does not know how to make amends for this. And paying his time in prison is the only way he knows how. He did that to himself. Even with Jen doing everything, he's still the one who made the decision to pull that trigger. And he knows that.
Jennifer Faith avoided the death penalty after pleading guilty to manipulating Lopez into murdering her husband. She will spend the rest of her life at the low-security Federal Correctional Institution in Aliceville, Alabama.
We've lost two good men. We shouldn't have lost either of them, except for this woman who played her silly games. I think she got what she deserves. She's in prison for life. Death would have been too easy.
Perhaps the biggest question I get from friends is, why? How does a person like this exist in society? And the answer I always give is, maybe we're not meant to understand evil. Maybe we're just meant to punish it, heal what we can, and wake up tomorrow and hug the ones we love.